gorilla stomping in a zoo. Check the vocals, animals gather right. Boom.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today we have another project on the property here. It's actually a property fence. I've been working on it for what feels like about 2 years now, between last season and this season. Last season, off camera, obviously you haven't seen it, we put in some 6x6 fence posts and cemented those in and allowed those to set over the winter and the ground to settle out. So I had some extra topsoil put over that this season to cover up all the dips from the settling, and we're starting to get ready now to actually put a fence onto it. I wanted it to settle down properly and get some good strength before I put my fence up and allowed the wind to possibly start moving it. So I would like to think it's well stabilized now and ready for fence work, and hopefully it'll stand up to some of the high winds we have here. You know, our winds can gust up to 150 kilometers an hour during the worst of some of our storms. So with all that said, yesterday I took delivery of 28 4x4 posts. I'm going to be using those as the horizontal runners for the fence, the mounting point for the fence boards themselves. And the reason I went with 4x4s is because the span between each of the posts that I had put in is nearing about 10 feet, between 9 and 10 feet per space. So that's typically a fence builder would probably go at the most 8 feet. If they were using, say, a 2x4 or a 2x6 support. So since we have a longer span, I wanted to go with a thicker, stronger board to provide that extra support for those high winds. So that's my hope anyways. Hopefully it stands up. But as today, I don't have the actual fence boards, but I do have these 4x4s, and we're going to get those into place. And after that it should be relatively simple, just nailing fence boards onto those supports. So without any further ado, let's get into the work. I got the cart here. I'm going to get loaded up with our supplies, like the miter saw and brackets and stuff like that, and get those brought up on site. So let's do it. Alright, so now that we're set up on site, we got our pile of 4x4x10s here, and the saw's ready to go. So in my area, I think we're pretty much set at a limit of a 6-foot high fence, and that's from ground level. So we'll be doing measurements along the way to make sure we stay within those limits. There is a gentle slope to the land. As you get further back behind me, it goes down compared to back behind the camera here. So we'll be adjusting for that as we go. We'll probably have like between each set of posts, we'll keep it straight. And then for the next run, if it is a bit lower, we will do that whole run step down per se. All right, so instead of kind of sloping as we go between the posts, we'll have each section adjust the height as we go if we need to adjust it very much. So it could be, you know, a couple of feet in difference over the course of the whole run of the fence. We are currently doing 140 feet of fence. So, you know, with 14 spans of 10 feet, 140 feet, okay? So without further ado, we'll start some measurements, start some cuts, and we'll start plugging away at these horizontal braces. All right, no time like the right time. Alright, so what I have here is a 4x4 brace. I believe the original purpose of these is to be mounted like this, but we're going to be using them horizontally. I think it's still going to work just fine, and hopefully that'll give us a bit more vertical strength for the posts, as well as horizontal in the wind, but mainly it'll be supporting the weight of these long sections of fence. So that's why I'm going to put them vertical like this. So what I've done on this first post to get us started is I've made a mark at 1 foot up from the concrete ground level. And what I figure is I'll put the bracket on top of that. Alright, so we got a foot of board that's going to be below this brace. And I got another marking at 5 feet. And what I'm thinking of doing, I'll put the brace for that one below the line so that we got a little more support, you know, leaning towards the middle of the boards where there's a higher potential bending of the board from the wind. I don't think the wind is going to be that much of a factor in bending the boards, but when you're looking at the fence as a whole, because I'm going to be butting the fence boards up against each other, this is kind of going to be acting as a big wind sail. And it's going to definitely take the full force of the wind that blows against it. It's not meant to let it drive through. So we definitely want lots of strength towards the middle. So I think that'll be good. If the brace is on top of this one, and maybe below on this one, and then we'll have a foot on either side with 4 feet supported in the middle by the brackets. I think that'll be our best bet, and that's what we'll go with. So now that the first set of brackets are in on one side, the next set of brackets are going to depend upon the board being level. Alright, so where the land is sloped, I'm going to be using the boards now, put the level on that, and where it's level is going to determine where the next brackets go. So at this point in time, we're ready to cut one of the cross braces and get that cut to length. So I'll measure between the posts, get that length, get it cut. We'll put it on one side, find level, and mark the next bracket. Alright, so that's the process we're going to be using all the way down the fence line. Alright, so now that I got the bottom bracket done using just leveling, I'm going to use the measurements off the first brackets and put the top bracket at the same measurement and distance, and that'll end up with even bars. So I assume. So I'll do that now. Alright, so that's the process that I'm going to be doing. I got 14 of those spans to complete, so it's going to take a while. I'm going to stop filming there though. It's pretty much going to be rinse and repeat of exactly what we just did. And the camera's starting to run out of battery already. She's a little bit on the old side. She doesn't have much endurance anymore. But with all that said, I'll keep going here doing the exact same procedure. And we'll catch up with you hopefully when I get to the end of it. The sun is pretty intense here, but just gonna keep picking away at it at a medium pace, and we'll catch up with you guys when we get down towards the end. All right, see you then. Alright everybody, that's going to clue up today's session working on the fence. As you can tell, we still have the fence boards to do. We'll do that next time. I'll get my order put in for the wood, get that delivered, and we'll be ready to rock. But hopefully you learned something, or at least came along for the ride. So until next time, hope you're happy, hope you're healthy, take care of each other, and peace out!